Okay,
Yeah.
so it actually all started. Sorry, just gonna bear with me with my tech while I get the next slide. There we go. So it started with a pencil, which might sound a bit odd, but I'm going to give you the background to this pencil, and you can see I've got my actual pencil there, my own version. So and there's Bella's. So the backstory of the campaign, in a nutshell. So I have always loved the work that I do. I am a passionate CDP, and I am very loud and proud about it now. But I used to sort of quietly tell people about how much I loved my job and how proud I was of it. But the thing that I found frustrating, I suppose, was that other people just didn't get it. Like, I knew the incredible depth and breadth of the role of any CDP and the life-changing work that we all do on a daily basis. But I just found myself frustrated that other people sort of outside our sector didn't get it. Even sort of friends and family sometimes didn't get it. So I would go out of my way to tell people about it. If anyone stood still long enough at the bus stop or whatever, I would talk about what I do and say about all the amazing work that career development professionals do. And I'd been starting to use this hashtag. So I thought, if I'm frustrated about something, I'm not going to just sit and grumble. I want to try and channel that frustration into positive change. So in my own little way, in my own world, I thought, I'm going to start small and just start using this hashtag. I can't actually remember the first day I used it, but I just thought, we are so much more than talking about jobs. So I just started using it on LinkedIn, having no idea that anybody had seen it or taken any notice of it. And I had some pencils made to share at a workshop. There'd been a particular career development professional called Suzanne Steele, who's well worth a follow if you're not connected with her. She works for Skills Development Scotland, and she'd shown huge support to me and to the hashtag. So I sent her a pencil in the post to say thank you for all her support. And she shared a post. In fact, that is her photograph, way back a couple of years ago. And I'm actually going to read what she said because it was just so beautiful. So she'd said, thanks to Katherine for sending the pencil. And then she just said, I will never stop shouting about the impact that career guidance can have and the potential to change lives, inspire belief, expand horizons, and help people develop skills and knowledge that they will draw on throughout their lives. And then it went on, and then it said, P.S. LinkedIn is fab. Thanks again, Katherine. And then P.P.S. already planning what's next. I'd quite like a banner and a t-shirt, ... In comes Bella.
So I saw that post, Suzanne Steele's post, and I thought that sounds like a really cool idea, because I saw that hashtag and I was absolutely, I just fell in love with it, basically. I thought it was so cool. And so there was another gentleman called Chris Target, which some of you may follow on LinkedIn, who you may follow him. And he's a prolific careers writer and CDP. And he said, oh, that sounds like a great idea. And so I messaged him and I said, look, I messaged him and Suzanne. I said, do you think that idea has legs? And both of them said, yeah. So through a mutual connection of ours, I connected with a lady called Leanne, who knows Katherine very, very well and now knows me fairly well too. And I said, look, Leanne, is there any chance if I reach out to Katherine, is she going to get back to me? She said, of course she will. She's lovely. Just go ahead and call her. So I called her on the 18th of January with an idea. And that idea had been born from several different avenues, really. The first for me was doing my master's degree in career development and coaching. And my dissertation subject was around professional identity of CDPs and how training, professional management, membership, and recruitment were all big issues that were affecting us. So with that in mind, also with the idea in mind that we were seeing confusion from the public about who we are and what we do. We weren't feeling connected, so CDPs were quite fragmented. And also we were facing issues with recruitment. just in terms of talent pipeline, but also we were facing issues with well-known organizations, large organizations, leading universities even, uh, putting job postings out there, not requiring any career qualifications as part of the job requirements at all. I just thought, you know what, this isn't right. We need to do something. And so this kind of sense of advocacy came, and I called Catherine and I said, look, I think we should do a LinkedIn campaign. I think we should do a flash mob, a LinkedIn flash mob. And she said she absolutely loved the idea. And I said, look, but I can't do this without you. I need your help. I said, would it be all right if we use the hashtag? She's like, sure. Um, so I mined Catherine's big kind of Rolodex of contacts, and she got very busy as well. And within 18 days, we had organised the campaign for 2022. It was absolutely lightning speed. So I was connecting with some what I felt for me at the time complete random CDPs. They had no idea who I was, and I was emailing these people, going, "Look, I know you don't know me, but you know Catherine," uh, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, we know Catherine. What can we do for you?" And I said, "Look, we want you to print on a T-shirt." Or get this on a sign, so hashtag so much more than talking about jobs. We want you to follow the hashtag, would you do it? And without any hesitation, all the people we contacted said yes. Catherine, from your side, what was happening from your side or during the organising stage?
Well, during it was just well, I don't think either of us had any idea what was going to happen really. So we'd had this crazy idea. We thought it was fabulous, but we didn't know whether anybody else would. And yeah, I think we've joked since that on the day itself, so 1st of February 22, I'd cleared a little bit of space in my diary, thinking there might be a few posts here and there, and we just both were blown away. Like I hardly stepped away from my laptop all day. They just kept on coming. And in fact, I'll show you the next slide actually, because we picked just a couple of our sort of just a handful of our favorite photos from the day. So the lady I was talking about, Suzanne, who I sent the pencil to, so she's in the purple t-shirt in the middle at the top. They're a team of people. They're a small team from Skills Development Scotland. Good friend of mine, Michelle Powell, on the left in the UK. And then we've got Serena Hopkins and a whole team in Canada down at the bottom, all holding their signs. And then Lucy Sattler in Australia, who many of you will know. But yeah, it just, I mean, it blew my mind. It really did. Like it just kept on coming as the day went on, as each country sort of woke up. We started to see posts being shared, and it was magical, wasn't it, Bella? We just kept on speaking to each other the day, going, "Have you seen this one? Have you seen this one? Somebody else has got involved. Somebody else has got involved." And yeah, it was certainly a joy-filled day for sure. Is there anything else you want to say about year 2023, Bella, before we move on to the following year?
Yes. The one thing I wanted to say is Catherine very kindly created a hashtag that united all of us into having a common language to open conversation with three groups of people: our friends, our professional allies, and the public. And for the first time, we were knocking on an open door, as our colleague Leanne said at the time, where CDPs had reached this point where we're like, look, we're sick of having to try and explain this to people in a way that confuses people. What we need is something that is simple, eye-catching, and that invites curiosity from people. And it absolutely did the job. We had such a response, an excited response. And of course, the first people who helped us with that was indeed CDP Australia. And I remember on the day, because we were kind of doing the flash mob at 9 o'clock in the morning in the UK, and of course, Australia way before us. And my kind of heart sank a little bit because I thought, oh my God, nobody else knows about this. But they do know about this, don't they? Oh my God, that's great. At the time, I was thinking kind of UK local, maybe a bit of Canada, because obviously I have strong connections there. It just hadn't occurred to me that actually this could be going around the world quite in the same way. So
Mm.
I'm absolutely delighted to see that. So yeah,
I
so
think
that
that
was
picture from Lucy actually was the one that kicked it off, actually. I think
it.
that was
Yeah,
the
that's
very,
right.
very first post.
The very, very
And
first post. Yeah.
And I think that for us was the thing that really struck us actually in year one was this wasn't just our frustrations, our feelings, our passion. It was crystal clear that this was worldwide, both in that sort of those shared frustrations and challenges, but also in this absolute shared love and passion for what we do. And that's what I think really was so heartwarming, was that everybody from every corner of the globe was saying, I hear you, I see you, I'm with you. And this is how I feel. And I also want to celebrate what we do. I'm an extremely positive person, and I'd like to make change through a positive means. And I think this is what this campaign was all about. It wasn't about grumbling and having a moan. We all have those frustrations, but it's how can we flip that and actually make positive change, which really was why we then decided to do it again, really, didn't we? Because we'd had
Yeah.
such fantastic feedback. So shall I flick on to
Go
2024?
for it. Yes. Yeah. Go
Right.
for it.
So, oh, wrong way, sorry. So 2024, do you want to say what sort of the theme was?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so what we decided with the first year, 2023, was obviously just all of us shouting out, we are so much more than talking about jobs. But then when Bella and I got our heads together for the sort of the first anniversary, we thought actually we want to hear from the people that really matter, the people that we support. What do they think? It's all well and good us saying how great we know that the work is that we do, but we thought we need to hear it from the students we support, our clients, our customers. So what we asked people to do was to share client stories and share little quotes or nuggets and stories that their clients had done. So I've the top two are, and the other thing, sorry, I forgot to mention, is we wanted to try and make it as international as possible. Bella will explain how we did that in a moment, but I've picked ones that do show just the sort of the far reach that we had. So on the top left is from Sini in Doha. We've got top right from Cleona in Dubai, and then down at the bottom is actually quite a recent post from Ruth in Malaysia. So the top two are client quotes, which I just think are beautiful. I'll shut up in a moment so you can read them both. But then the one at the bottom, for me, it shows not only the impact on our clients, which the top two are, but actually the impact on us as CDPs and feeling part of something. So Ruth at the bottom wrote about how much it's meant to her as a CDP. So I'll just stop talking for a moment so you can read them, and then Bella, you can step in when you're ready.
Yeah, no worries. And just for Cindy's post, just in case anybody's having difficulty reading that, I'll read that out. I was in a very difficult place. I thought there's nothing out there that can help me move or sort out my feelings and see it in my life with clarity. It was the first time in years that I felt I'm going to have to put my glasses on now, warmth of a safe, non-judgmental space where I was able to let my guard down and reflect on my experiences. This alliance enabled me to blow away the clouds and take steps forward. And I think absolutely that is one of the fundamental things that CDPs do for our clients. We are absolutely instilling confidence, doing a lot of restoration work, helping with decision making, and we do have a huge influence on individuals, the economy, and society as a whole. And we knew that if we asked the CDPs directly, what do you think you bring to this? Really, what do you think you do? Because last year was about the visibility part. We're here, right? CDPs are here. Look, we're here. We are so much more than talking about jobs. This year was about why we're so much more than talking about jobs. And we knew if we asked CDPs directly, they would be quite reticent to tell us, because we are a bit of a humble lot. We don't tend to brag about what we do. We let other people do that. And we thought, okay, let's get the client quotes, because we all have them. We all have those things stashed away in email, or those cards that we can't quite bear to part with, or those moments where somebody said, look, you've really made a difference. And so if we can move on to the next slide, Catherine. So this year was really interesting in terms of how it unfolded. So last year we garnered 800,000 hits, which was a surprise to us, actually, even last year. So this year we had 600 invitations that went to 13 countries. And the 13 countries are as follows: Australia, Canada, Estonia, Germany, Ireland, Malaysia, Pakistan, Qatar, New Zealand, Norway, Singapore, the UAE, and of course the UK. And we had a 5-fold increase in the number of followers to the hashtag. So if you're not a follower of the hashtag, please do. Hashtag so much more than talking about jobs. We'd be loving to have you there. And in addition to that, we had 160 plus posts on the day, which was fabulous. And the posts were so moving. They were so thrilling to see, actually, as well. They ranged from humorous to emotional to thought-provoking to really resilient things that we saw coming out of those clients. It was lovely to see. And happily, we doubled our reach to 1.6 million hits, over 1.6 million hits. We were just astounded by that. We absolutely loved it. And of course, the campaign is not about how many hits we actually get, truth be told. The campaign is about uniting CDPs and helping our friends, professional allies, and the public understand who we are, what we do, and the contribution we make to the individual economy and society. Over to you, Catherine.
Brilliant. So yeah, so what does the future hold, really? I think so much more than talking about jobs is here to stay now. Certainly for the foreseeable future. We want to build on the positivity and the success and the celebration that we've had so far. So really going forwards, we want for it to continue to be a global movement and bringing together this global community that, I think it's very clear now that we're all sort of in this together. So going together, however far apart we are, we've got these common goals and these shared values. So increasing our presence, some of us are big and loud and noisy on LinkedIn, like obviously Bella and I are, and we've got incredible other people who share things frequently. But for people to just get involved in whatever way they can. Now, that doesn't mean you have to suddenly, start sharing videos of yourself, but if you can get involved in whatever way you're comfortable with, whether that be sharing other people's posts, following the hashtag on LinkedIn, getting other people in your teams involved, because it's really about empowering one another, so we can all come together to support ourselves as well as the individuals we support and the economy and society as a whole. So it's more of us and working together, really.
I would agree. And also, I'd like to support Catherine. She said something really insightful once. She said, look, this campaign has invited some, great material from CDPs so far, but it is for all CDPs, including the ones who feel like they're stuck in a school cupboard somewhere, or they're stuck in a room on their own. They're the only CDP in the team of people helping that client group, perhaps, who don't really shout about what they do, and are able to perhaps find the language for the first time to be able to invite that discussion and at least help get that sense of professional identity and confidence to be able to talk to others about the value that they bring.
Brilliant. So you've probably listened to us for long enough. We've got various questions we're happy to throw out. I know Liv had some questions to get the conversation going, but Bella and I are also happy to answer questions if anybody's got any. So
Yeah,
Thank you so
over
much
to
for
you.
sharing that story. I think what you just said about the grassroots and the people, I think so often it is a lonely profession.
Mm.
And so many people work on their own and know how powerful this work can be, literally transforming people's lives, but nobody else gets it. I think that's where the power comes. You've made it really, really simple and
Mm.
intriguing, and invited people to understand more in a really simple way. And I love, a lot of the time we talk about the challenges and the complexities and how do we influence the policymakers, but it kind of parks the negative and all the challenges and just goes, hey, we're awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, just remember that what we're doing is really awesome.
Mm.
So congratulations, both of you, on doing something awesome and bringing everyone together. I think it's fantastic. I've put the link to the hashtag and to both of your profiles on LinkedIn in the chat there. So please follow the hashtag. But I've got some questions while everyone else is thinking about theirs as well. One, I'd like to hear your favorite posts particularly from this year. I loved the flow and the stream of that client feedback and the real grassroots transformation stories.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so many to choose from. Is the question, what's our favorite posts,
Your
Liv? Is
favorite
that
one?
right?
Which one was
Oh gosh. It,
too bad?
it's like a mother being asked to choose between her children.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a patronising way whatsoever, by the way, folks here. But it's so difficult to make a choice because all of them are so rich in what they offer. And I think if there was a commonality in amongst all of them, it's the faint surprise that CDs still experience when clients give them that feedback. That feedback is such a gift. We know that's a gift. We're often
Mm.
asked for metrics of what we do by organizations. Prove the value of what you bring. Is it just employment numbers? We know it isn't just employment numbers. Is it just positive outcomes and graduate destinations? We know it's more than that.
Mm.
And these comments and these feedbacks absolutely tell us that, and that's why we store them. I know we're not the only
Mm.
ones, folks out there. I
Mm.
know that many of you will do the same because that's our collateral. That is our story. Of
Mm.
how we're helping. And many, many years later, we all experience that client who reaches back out to us and say, look, you may not remember me, but I remember you. And I
Mm.
remember the influence you had in helping me make a very difficult career decision. Or I remember the influence you had of helping me get back on my feet after employment. Or I remember the influence you had when I was at one of my lowest points, and you were there to help me.
Mm.
And that for me is the magic that CDPs create.
Mm.
Well done.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I feel much as I couldn't. I had a quick flick through the PR report we had this morning to see if I could pick a favorite. But rather, I feel much the same as Bella. It's almost impossible to choose one. But I think what I found on the day, looking at all the quotes this year, was the themes. So even though there were individual stories, the thing that really, really stood out was the sense of holding space and giving somebody time. So some people, some of the quotes explicitly actually said that in their feedback, but others there was a definite sense of just being clients being so grateful that this person might have been the first person who has just given them space to explore their thoughts and feelings, and that really stood out to me as being a theme across the world and across different people's roles. And some of them, like I said, in the actual client quotes, actually and hearing a client use a phrase like that, like in Sydney's, the one about the clouds lifting, or however it was described. I mean, it was just they were beautiful, the quotes. They really were. And yes, there was funny ones as well, but actually it was the heartfelt nature of some of them which were just, yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that, that time and space and the true counseling and guidance
Mm.
of it, which is often not understood.
Mm.
When we rush to an answer, it's like, did you get that person a job? It resonates. Rushing to that end point rather than actually teaching and giving people that time and space to think about it and come to their own clarity. And that's, I think, one of the really misunderstood bits. So yeah, okay, I'll tick you answer that question without answering it.
I think we've got a question.
Too hard.
We've got a question from Ruth, actually. I think
Yep.
there, Ruth McAteer. Hi, Ruth. Good, lovely to see you there. Hey. So I kind of, this question is an interesting one. In the work you do, what are your recommendations for connecting with our HR allies? And I'll come on to the second part of that about the infographics. The first part of this question is, many of us may have been mistaken for recruiters or HR professionals. Anybody in here who's been mistaken for a recruiter? Yep, few of us. Hi, Julie, lovely to see you there. There's more than one of us who will have had that experience. And, you know, HR mistake us for kind of having a bit of a recruitment edge. Francis is putting a hand up there, a thumbs up. It's really important to help HR understand what we do and help recruiters understand what we do, because I don't think they're any the wiser either. They have a little bit of a better understanding, but not really. They don't understand that perhaps that we have training in career development theory. They don't know what career development theory is for a large part of it. Why would they? They've never done the training. They know that we go into more depth than perhaps they can or are able to. They know that we have more counselling skills, listening skills, perhaps differently trained than they have. And I always say, you know, if we're looking at three groups, HR have a really great understanding of organisationally and structurally how things are put together. Recruiters understand how companies hire, and we're the kind of emotional support with the career transition and also career development and career planning, as well as the understanding of how organisations work. We might not have as much in-depth understanding as HR, but would be poor career coaches or employment counsellors or career development practitioners, professionals, if we didn't have that understanding to a degree. So many of us might have worked as recruiters. I've worked as a recruiter in the past. Yeah, Louisa's nodding there. Hello there. So we all bring different things to this, and I think the message needs to be, you know, so who are we? What do we do? Who do we do it for? Why do they need it? What do they get out of it? If we're able to answer those questions for people, that really helps people on the other side. We coach people to do this in interview all the time, right? We coach people for elevator pitch, for example, right? Why can't we do this for ourselves? This campaign is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to aim, this is our elevator pitch to the world, folks. We need to get this right. And our elevator pitch will depend slightly differently, change slightly differently, depending on the client group we're interacting with or who we're pitching to, potentially employers. So no worries with modifying stuff, right? Modify away, but ultimately the crux of what we do needs to be a bit consistent, because without that, we're going to get more of the same of what we've already been experiencing, which is fragmentation. Not great. So there you go. I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, I agree. In fact, one of the first conversations we ever had in this webinar series back in COVID was about the brand image of careers as the big umbrella term of careers. And it's like all of this challenge we've got in terms of constraining in school context, constraint of time, in a sport context, you know, the high performance coaches don't want them off the field. How do we create that value of it? So many people's perception of the big careers umbrella is based on what they had at school, that it ends up being, the people that do the test or put you in a job, or the one you go to find yourself a job, rather than the actual rich nuance of, you know, advice, guidance, information, education, and actually understanding the different elements of that, and the fact that it is, as you say, that it is a profession. And I think that's the massive missing piece. There's a comment in there about the coaching crossover. And I think it might have been your comment recently, Bella, that there was an advert out about coaching roles, and there was no mention of career development professional practitioners. It was just coaching.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues we've got as well, being mistaken for life coaches. That's happened to me as well. Yep, few nods. We are not life coaches. How do we differentiate ourselves from that? Now, we know how we differ, but let's get a common language or a simple language that people are going to kind of get. Because without that, we're going to struggle to communicate our value out there and our differentiators.
Yeah, I think one of the things that one of the other questions that you'd mentioned, Liv, which I think is relevant here, is about the stopping the echo chamber, because I think a lot of what we're talking about is actually inviting people in to understand. So I think what we've done so far, we've done a fantastic job of internally saying, we're together, we're strong, we understand each other, we're on the same page, great, and we're going to celebrate and, you know, make sure we're all feeling great about it. I think some of what we do going forwards is turning outwards and bringing people in so they understand, you know, and that could be telling your neighbour over the garden fence about what it is that you do, or it could be in a professional level. How can you bring people in? I'm just thinking of an example for myself, obviously working in schools. Sometimes it's actually another member of staff physically coming into the session if it's appropriate. You know, so I've had teaching assistants come in to support a student, and they literally see for their own eyes what it's all about. And I can remember one lady, as she left, just said, "You're like a magician. Like, that was amazing. How can I retrain to do your job?" And she literally was like, "I loved everything that you just did. I had no idea that that's what your job was. I would love to do that. How do I retrain?" And then the other thing is I keep my space in school as a real sort of open door, other than obviously when students are there and it's confidential, but the rest of the time it's a very welcoming space for people to come through. And I'll try and encourage curiosity from the staff as much as from students. So I'll have teachers come in and have a little bit of a nosy about, you know, they'll be picking things up. Why have you got Lego in here? And, you know, what's the whiteboard all about? And what were all these pictures for? To try, and I had a teacher wander through the other day and was starting to ask me, you know, what all of these various bits and bobs were on my table. And she just said, "I had no idea that's what career guidance was all about. It's nothing like that in my day." And I was like, well, actually, let me tell you what it's like now. Let me change your mindset, because actually these are our allies. You know, you talked about HR being an ally. Obviously, in my world, the allies that I need are the teachers, the senior leaders in schools, the teacher assistants, the other educators. So yes, we can talk within ourselves about how great the work we do is and it's life-changing, but we have to get that narrative outwards as well. And that's something we all need to be really proactive about.
So is that what's next? Turning it round to outside?
Well, it's certainly, you know, we've got various ideas about what's going to happen next year and beyond, but that's certainly something I think is important, whether it's you know, the crux of the campaign or whether it's just a message, but it's definitely something that I think is important.
Yeah.
I think my hope is that one day in my lifetime, when each of you is asked the question, so what do you do? And you say, I'm a career development professional, that the person you're talking to understands exactly what that is. Wouldn't that be great?
Amazing.
But you didn't have to explain, right? People understood, just like they do when you say you're a lawyer or an HR professional or a doctor or an engineer, right? Lovely. That'd be my greatest hope, really.
I just want to pick up on something that Ruth's put in the chat. Hi, Ruth. Thank you for letting me use your quote, by the way, in our presentation. But yeah, she's picked up on the fact she's going to be working in a school, and she's been asked to present about what her job is in 3 sessions to the staff, to the students and the parents. I think things like that is absolutely fantastic, because again, that's a perfect way of shouting outwards about what we do. And actually, it's really interesting actually that she's going to be able to do it to different people, because they are all different people who will have their own preconceived ideas. So and again, something that I've done to try and tackle it within a school context is I did staff CPD for the teachers, and I ran the session as if they were in a career guidance session. So they were all doing, they did the activities that I did with students, So I got them all doing activities about motivation and decision making and self-awareness. So they actually were like, oh, so this is what happens behind that door in that secret corridor, which we know nothing about. And they got it. They did actually get it. And then when we were having like it's called Career Mark in the UK, kind of a assessment to check that the school is basically providing the best careers education that they can. They were interviewing the teachers, and some of when they were asked like what happens in career guidance, they said things like, oh, they help people think about them, what they're motivated by, or they help people discover their strengths. And it was like, yes, the teachers are getting it. They're starting to realize the depth and the breadth of what happens down that hidden little corridor. They realize the magic that is going on within the careers, education in their school, because we need allies. We need them just as much as they need us.
Definitely. There's a question here from Julie about whether you have a view on the CDI's push to have, so CDI is for those in Australia and New Zealand, it's the Career Development Institute in the UK, to have CDPs chartered.
That's it, yeah. That's a really interesting idea, is becoming chartered. Now, I think the concern I have is with it, as it would with anything that's going to become chartered or become professionalized, is that it's going to include some people, and new people hopefully will be coming into the talent pipeline, but it will also exclude people. Same thing happened with social workers in Canada in the 1990s. They, inverted commas, professionalized. So it went from mostly women, I have to say, who were doing social work, who learned on the job, and a lot of careers folks learned on the job. I learned on the job. I got my first career qualification formally in after, gosh, how many years of practice? That must have been 13, 12 years of practice.
I was the same.
So now, right. So I had my undergraduate degree in counselling skills, which of course, as we all know, is really useful. But the formalised, what I know now, absolutely radically changed me as a practitioner, and changed me for the better. I'm a far better practitioner now than I was then, I would say, because of the training experience I've had. So there's a we have to accept, if we're going to go down the chartered route, that there are going to be many people working in the business of careers, and I say that because recruiters touch careers, HR touches careers, teachers touch careers, and they're not all, inverted commas, qualified CDPs. What happens to that then? Do you see what I mean? Are enough people going to want to become chartered? Traditionally, to become chartered, usually that's at master's level. See what I mean? So are we asking people to have masters? We all know some fantastic CDPs out there who don't have masters and have no intention of getting a master's degree either. Now, I would say all of us have a place there. What I would like to say is that I do think there needs to be a minimum qualification, because one of the questions Liv has is around the issues affecting us moving forward. And of course, we are facing a number of those. We are facing AI changes and challenges. So, the more basic, inverted commas, tasks of career queries are going to be farmed out to that, no question. That might free us up to do more strategic work in our field. So I see that as a kind of augmenting of what we're doing, not a taking away necessarily. But I also think the other challenge is the wilds of TikTok with, I got a job yesterday. These are the 3 things you need to do for your career. I got a job yesterday. Let me tell you my 3 top interview tips. Sheesh. That we all know there's some truly terrible advice out there that none of us would stand by. Equally, we know there's some not bad advice either. We know that we're becoming content creators as well. We're moving with the times with that. My post this week was at CDP Thought for the Week was talking about how I'd love to see us on results days on TV. I don't want to see the local MP talk about careers. I don't want to see, sorry to say, any teachers in here. I want to see CDPs, right? I want to see us in column inches with career advice columns. You know, if there are writers who prefer not to be in front of the camera necessarily, no problem. But, you know, if you're a writer, why are we not contributing to that? You know, so there are places we are, and we're everywhere and we're nowhere. And I'd like to see us everywhere and everywhere. So there you go.
100%. Now, what's we're not going to let everybody off that lightly. What do you want everybody to do? Before we have some final questions still, but
right, Katherine, do you want to answer that one first?
Yeah, well, I'm going to answer, but I'm going to kind of quote you actually, because we were had an interview with a lady in the UK called Laddie Mohammed Chapman. Again, another fantastic person to follow if you're not already connected with her. And we were talking very much about the So Much More campaign, and our message to, whether it's somebody new, somebody who's been doing it a long time, whoever you are, take part in whatever way you are comfortable with. Like I said, that doesn't mean you have to suddenly start buying, you know, lamps to video yourself online. You know, it's just get involved, supporting each other, and get involved in the campaign in some way. And also, I mean, what I'd say is the campaign, yes, we have a day where everyone comes together and it's a celebration, but it's all the time. You know, it's not about saving it until the next February. You know, some of my favorite posts are the ones that happen right now. Like I said, the one that I shared of Ruth, it was only a month ago. And I love the fact that this is something that we're just talking about all the time. So just get involved. If you have a really lovely story, something that's happened, an impact that you've had on a client, a customer, share it. You know, put that story on LinkedIn, raise your head above the parapet, because we all need to shout about this, not just the noisy ones. Bella and I, when we're talking together about this, we're always saying this campaign is not about me and Bella. Yes, people attached us to it, but it's not us. I love reading stories from Bella. I love reading stories from Chris Target. I love reading, Chris Webb's newsletters. We're the big noisy ones. But I would love to hear stories from people who are just doing incredible work on a day-to-day basis, but their stories aren't being heard. Please have the courage to practice what you preach. We ask our clients to be really courageous. If you can have the courage to share a story on LinkedIn, we will be behind you 1000%. So please share some of your own impact stories. We would love to see them and shout about them on your behalf.
And to do that, of course, is to help us by following the hashtag. Karen's question is an interesting one. Is there a particular person in Australia, e.g. Lucy Sattler, who's driving the campaign here? No, you'll be happy to know there are many Aussies who are helping us. Julie has been prolific. If you catch Julie on LinkedIn, do you want to say hello, Julie? No? Okay. You can do if you want to.
Give her a wave instead. She's on my screen.
Thank you. I've been engaging with you guys for some time now, and I'm a novice. I'm new to career development as a professional, and I've just loved the supportive atmosphere. I feel like I've had a circular event here tonight, because Trent and Liv were at the first ever webinar I went to about careers, but it was before I even started studying. And Trent messaged me in the chat saying, "Have you thought about studying? You really should think about it. I'm about to do my doctorate." And I went, "Oh my God, this is fantastic." So jumped on in and started studying, and then, engaging with Bella all the time on LinkedIn, and she's encouraging me in my career as I move forward. So it's lovely.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thanks, Julian. It's lovely to hear
Thank
you
you,
put a
Lee.
voice to the and face to the name at long last. It really is. It's so interesting when you meet people for kind of inverted commas real after you've seen them on LinkedIn for such a long time. It's such a treat when you do that. You know, Ruth and I connected relatively recently as well, didn't we, Ruth? You know, just set up a meeting and had a chin wag. This is the kind of thing that this kind of campaign really enjoys, is the connectivity between people. You know, I know that we're all busy. We have a very, very yeah. Ruth saying, "Oh, yeah, I thought you were Canadian. That's hilarious." Yeah, and why wouldn't you, right? I work for a Canadian company, lived and worked there for 10 years. That makes sense, right? But you know, I'd strongly encourage, you know, if there's a piece of interest that you see in each other's work, do support it, like it, follow it, repost it, because that helps us, it helps each other. And of course, if you can add the hashtag so much more than talking about jobs, that means that all comes into that hashtag feed. I was looking at the hashtag feed yesterday and I was absolutely shocked. I'm thinking, oh yeah, nobody, is anybody using this? Holy cow, they are using it. It's lovely. It's absolutely lovely to see that. That's where our history is being documented. Interestingly, LinkedIn only keeps that record for around 10 months. But as I found out from Catherine the other day, you can search for it by image. So if you look at the images, you'll see all those posts that came up from 2022 since then. So please have a look through. It's a fantastic reportage of who we are and what we do out there.
Can I ask a question back out to everybody? Is that all right?
Mhm.
So you've sort of, what we'd like to know really is, I know I've said obviously the campaign isn't about us, but obviously we're the ones sort of working behind in the background sort of to make things continue to happen going forward. So I suppose what I'd really like to know is there anything that we could do to support you joining the campaign, or is there anything that would prevent you from joining in? I can think of one example of somebody in the UK last year who'd really wanted to, but her organisation, she didn't, whether they'd explicitly said she couldn't, or whether she felt that she wasn't able to, because it wasn't, she wasn't able to whilst working for a particular company. So I suppose it's just, is there anything that would stop you from taking part, or anything personally that's holding you back? And could we support you in any way with that? I've asked you about 5 questions in one there, sorry.
I was just going to say, having come from a school background, I would suggest that could be an issue in some schools, just in Australia, just depending on the type of school. You know, some schools have got quite strict rules around, you know, public commenting, letters to the editor in the paper, that sort of thing, if it somehow links back to your role at that school or whatever. So that's a good, it'd be interesting to find out if that's what was constraining people.
That's interesting.
I'm just wondering how we could get around that, because I do understand. I understand that why organisations may feel like that, but certainly because we understand the campaign at its very heart, we know that it's a very positive thing. It's not a political thing. We're not signed with it. You know, it's all just a very much a celebratory thing. So although I understand where certain companies or schools might be generally quite cautious about what's shared, for me, I don't see how this campaign could be detrimental in any way to anybody or any company. So I don't know, I'm wondering what we could do to try and get around that. And I'm not sure whether I have the answers, but if anybody has any thoughts, I'd love to hear them.
I wonder whether it's just a quick explainer, like on the tagged onto pinned post about how to respond, or say, I want to share this, here's what it's for. It's anonymized, it won't name a person, it's super positive, almost a canned template to save people time to go, if you do need approval, here's what to attach to it.
Yeah, that's
Great
not a bad idea
idea.
actually. If we created something, because we could have you know, a little synopsis of what the campaign is, you know, is just some key information, and say, if, you know, I've just noticed Ruth had said that she has to have approval for any social media post. So if we've provided something to say, if this is your situation and you have to get approval, here's
a sample letter.
Yeah.
Paragraph, email.
That's a great idea. Really good idea.
Apart from that, no other barriers. So we'll expect
Yay!
A flurry of activity.
Exactly. Well, hopefully we'll see you all in 2025. But of course, reach out to us on LinkedIn, right? We're there. Would love to
all the
connect
time
with you if we're not connected already. And you know, we'll do our best to support each other's work. You know, that's why we're here. Ah, excellent, Peter.
Brilliant. Peter,
Brilliant.
who's on LinkedIn top line. Well done, Peter.
Excellent.
And you know
Love
what?
that
actually has been, no, I don't know what it's called either, but I know which bit you're talking about.
It's a headline. That's what it's called, Peter. It's the headline. Yeah.
That's been one of the things I've loved actually over the last 2 years, is seeing it start to creep up in other places. So it's not just, I'm going to share a post that is so much more than talk about jobs. It's people putting it in their bios, people putting it in the headline. So there's so many ways that you can use it and get involved. Like I said, it doesn't mean having to post a video. It can be exactly what Peter's done, putting it in the headline. Brilliant.
That's an awesome idea. I'm going to do that tonight.
Fabulous.
Any final comments
from us or anyone else?
Anybody? Before I say a huge thank you. Yes, you guys are awesome. Huge thank you for doing it in the first place and bringing everyone together, but also for getting up early and sharing your story with us. And this recording will go live, so we'll publish it. So hopefully lots of people will see it as well. But well done for everything.
Thank you so much for inviting us, Liv.
Indeed. Thank you so much. And we think you're awesome as well. You are all golden thread detectives. You're all dream catchers. And we have such a responsibility in our roles. And it's really nice to be able to have validation and visibility for that. So thank you for helping us get the message out. And thank you for supporting this campaign, because we'd love supporting you. Yeah,
you're all superheroes.
Thank you so much. Have a fabulous rest of National Careers Week, everybody. And thank you for coming. Thank you, Bella and Catherine.
You're welcome. Thanks, folks. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.